What's up guys, it's me Lego Paradise here, and today I'm going to show you my 30,000 subscriber special Lego Zoo. So before we start, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all of my subscribers for all of your support. It's just so awesome that so many of you like my Lego creations. So as you can see, the zoo features 8 different enclosures packed full of all sorts of different types of animals, all connected by a series of different paths and walkways. I'll be showing you each section in detail, and for that we'll start with the entrance. So as we look past the crowds of visitors arriving at the zoo, you can see a couple of turntables just to keep track who's entering and exiting the zoo, and a little ticket machine so you can buy your ticket, as well as a couple of iron gates and some flower pots for decoration. And you can also see there's some speaker systems just for any announcements that the zookeepers might make. And of course you wouldn't have missed this bright orange zoo sign, which really stands out from the rest of the build and makes the entrance of the zoo really eye-catching. And then surrounding the entrance you have a couple of palm trees just to fit with the tropical theme of the build, as well as this massive iron fence that goes all the way around the front and creates the illusion that the whole of the zoo is within this enclosed area. And I've used a couple of safari print pieces which I think fit perfectly for this type of build. And then on the other side of the entrance you have a couple of zoo security guards just to make sure no one's causing any trouble, as well as an ice cream seller and his little ice cream cart, and a little information booth, and that's manned by a helpful zookeeper ready to answer any zoo visitors' questions. So as you go through the entrance of the zoo, to your right is the first attraction, and that is the penguin enclosure. And on the top there you can see 3 penguins just chilling out in the snow, and you can see that the rest of the enclosure is just this water area. And I've actually created an underwater effect using these glass panel pieces in transparent blue. And you can even see they create a nice reflection on top, just like real water would. And down the bottom you can see a little information plaque telling you all about the penguins and the fish swimming below, and of course the fish, as well as some seaweed and some rocks. And you can see this fancy rock work continues all the way around on every side of this penguin enclosure. And you can see I've even included a small recycling bin just to be a bit more environmentally friendly. Now around the back of the penguin enclosure you can see a small path has been carved into the artificial rocks, and that leads all the way up to where the zookeeper is, and there's even a small gate where you can access the penguins. And directly underneath that you have this small cupboard area, and this actually houses an electricity generator to power the penguin enclosure. And I just thought I had some space, so it was a cool little feature to include. Now opposite the penguin enclosure, continuing the underwater theme, we have the main aquarium. Now this is the only aquarium in the zoo, and because that, it houses lots of different aquatic animals. So you can see I've tried to make the aquarium with a really modern design, and I've done this by using these massive quarter dish pieces for the roof, as well as some skylights and lots of glass, using blue transparent glass pieces to create the illusion of water. So in the corner you can see an octopus just hiding in the shadows, and behind that there's a treasure chest being guarded by some jellyfish. And continuing along the aquarium you can see there's all sorts of different sea creatures and fish, and you can see that fish I've attached using a battle droid arm to create the impression that it's swimming, as well as some sunken shipwreck wreckage and lobsters and starfish. And then in the middle of the aquarium you can see there's an underwater tunnel, and this can be accessed from the back, and this is where minifigures can come and admire the different aquatic creatures from within the centre of the aquarium. And from here you can get a good look at the shark that's circling the aquarium. And of course from the outside there's a small information plaque just telling you about all the different types of fish and sea creatures swimming in the aquarium. Now as we follow the path away from the aquarium we come to a small crossroads, and in the middle of this is the aviary, and this is where all of the birds are kept. So as you can see, it's home to a variety of different birds, such as owls and parrots, and they're all sitting on different branches of a giant tree in the middle. And I've even included a small door on one side for zookeepers to have access to the aviary. And you can see this octagonal design is made up of lots of different window panels to allow full view and lots of light to enter the enclosure. And then on the top of the aviary, I've added a large net just to stop any birds from accidentally flying away. Next we have the monkey and gorilla enclosures. So first of all, round the front, you can see there's a zookeeper giving a speech about these different apes. And you can see to the left, there's the gorilla walking around on all fours. And you can see this is actually a collectible minifigures gorilla suit guy. But in this case here, I've used it as an actual gorilla. And I've made this walking pose using a few different hinge plates and pieces. And as for decoration in the enclosure, I've just included some bamboo shoots. And this is a pretty cool design. And it's relatively simple to make, using only some 1x1 tube and 1x1 tube with leaf pieces. And then next door, you can see through the glass there's some monkeys, and they're all climbing a banana tree. And this extends all the way past the walls of the enclosure, and you can see there's several bananas hanging at the top. Now round the back of this combined enclosure, you can see it's not as exciting. There's just a zookeeper emptying some trash into a dumpster. And you can also see a bench with a visitor having a rest. Now if we look on the other side, facing the gorilla and monkeys, is another identical enclosure made out of wood and glass. And this time, its inhabitants are a bear and a crocodile. And you can see some visitors peering through the massive glass panels and marvelling at each of the different creatures. And in the crocodiles area, you can see I've built up this really cool swamp area featuring lots of different swamp plants and some lily pads, as well as a small pond for the crocodile to hide in. And on the other side, you can see there's the bear's enclosure. And there's not much here, just some prefabricated Lego conifer trees, much like the ones you'd find in the bear's natural habitat somewhere in Canada, and just a bit of grass. And you can see the doors to each animal are tightly secured with some padlocks to prevent anyone escaping or any visitors accidentally getting in. So next we have the lion and tiger enclosure. And you can see I've built this in a similar style to the previous two enclosures, using lots of transparent glass panels, and they're separated by these cool jungle style wooden beams. And they continue all the way around on all four sides. And if you're interested in building either the lion or the tiger, I've actually made a couple of how to build tutorials for both of them a few years ago, and I'll leave a link to them in the description below if you want to build your own lion and tiger. So around the tiger's side, I've included lots of tall grass and bushes for the tiger to hide in and feel right at home. And you can see towards the centre wall, I've included this small water feature with this waterfall leading into a small pond. And that's where the tiger can drink from. And this is actually identical on the other side, where it's mirrored in the lion's area. And of course, both sides are quite similar, but you can see the major difference in the lion's enclosure is the lion is given a small rock to stand on and proudly roar. And you can see behind the lion, there's a small gap in the glass panelling, and this is actually a small feeding area where the zookeeper can go ahead and drop some food down there and feed the lion or the tiger without having to enter the enclosure themselves. And that's just another cool little feature I'd include just for some extra realism. The next section of the zoo is probably the largest area, as this is home to the African animals and includes the visitor centre. Around the front of the visitor centre, you can see this large open space which houses an elephant, a giraffe and a zebra. I thought this Lego zoo build would be a perfect opportunity to include one of these rare Lego elephants that Lego only included in one set, and that's an old Johnny Thunder set from around 2003. Now next we have a few more interesting animals, because these are entirely custom designed. The giraffe and zebra each took me a couple of hours to make, but I think they were well worth it because I think they look really cool and are essential for any Lego zoo. So starting with the giraffe, you can see how I've tried to replicate all of the different patterns of the giraffe using some Lego flower pieces, and these create the brown spots all along the giraffe's neck. And to create the muscles and the legs of the giraffe, I've used some hinge pieces and some inverted satellite dish pieces, and they're just attached on with some sideways building techniques. And then the zebra is made up of these safari prints 2x2 tiles, the same ones used for the fence on the front of the zoo, as well as a Lego mohawk piece which goes perfectly for the mane of a zebra. And then another cool building technique for the legs is some Lego mime arms, and they're actually from the mime minifigure from the Series 2 collectible minifigures, so it's actually quite rare and quite an old minifigure now. And you can see for the tail I've used a simple diver's flipper and a grill piece. And I've decided to make building tutorials for both the zebra and the giraffe, so you can expect a how to build tutorial very soon, and once it's uploaded I'll leave a link to the tutorial in the description below. And you can see I've made up the wall using this really nice medium flesh colour and included lots of masonry textured bricks as well as some light grey bricks to contrast this colour. And then in the middle around the front there's a couple of massive wooden double doors that allow access to the enclosure if needed. And aside from the animals, you can see there's a zookeeper just doing some cleaning in the enclosure and a few bushes for decoration. Now behind the African animals enclosure, I've built in a visitor centre, and this includes a gift shop and a restaurant. So you can see the visitor centre too is made of this really nice medium flesh colour, and I actually used up every single brick I own in that colour building this, but I think it was well worth it. Round the front of the visitor centre, you can see there's a couple of stripy canopies above some more iron decorated support structures on either side, and this is one of the few buildings in the zoo which is not symmetrical, but I think it looks really cool and really unique. It's a really interesting design overall. So the first floor of the visitor centre is the gift shop, and you can see around the front there's some zoo postcards and some toy buckets. And then inside the gift shop there's some more gifts and souvenirs such as some cameras, some fake crystals and some binoculars to view the animals. And you can see in the corner there's even some soft toy animals and some fake toy pickaxes. All sorts of souvenirs you'd find lying about in a zoo gift shop. And you can see there's a member of staff at the checkout till. Now as you walk up the stairs, this is where you enter the restaurant level. And you can see on one end there's a small kitchen with a small stove and sink and fridge, all the essentials of a kitchen, and a chef preparing some dishes. And towards the end there's the restaurant tables. And you can see this seating provides a really cool view of all the African animals in the enclosure next door. And I've just included some iron fences just to stop any of the animals eating any of the food. There's not much else here, but you can see the tables contain some meals and some salt and pepper shakers. And then the roof of the visitor centre continues this really unusual modern theme and includes a small skylight to provide some extra lighting to the restaurant, and it's just a really cool design. And personally, the visitor centre is my favourite building in my Lego zoo. Now the final building in my Lego zoo is more of a miscellaneous building really, as it includes some more African animals, some creepy crawlies, and some other facilities essential to a zoo I just couldn't fit anywhere else. So first of all, next door to the visitor centre, you can see there's a safari Land Rover just parked there, ready to be called out. And this is the same custom designed safari Land Rover I've done an animation of, and I'll link that in the description below if you want to check that out. But that's just used as a staff vehicle for zookeepers, so they can get to anywhere they need to be in the zoo. And there's even some concrete pillars in place to stop the Land Rover from driving on the pedestrian walkways. So around the other side of the Land Rover, you can see that built into the side of the building are secure lockers. And this is where visitors to the zoo can store any of their possessions so that they don't want to risk getting damaged or lost in one of 3 conveniently located lockers. Now before we take a look inside this building, let's just take a look around the front And this is more of a continuation of the African animals section. And you can see I've included a camel and some ostriches. And both of these types of animals are from the Lego Prince of Persia sets that came out in 2010. These types of animals are perfect for my Lego zoo, so I had to include them. So taking a look inside the building, this is where all of the insects, spiders and reptiles are housed. And you can see the three largest enclosures house a black Lego spider, and that's just representing some sort of tarantula. Then you have a couple of ants, and these Lego ants are actually from the Indiana Jones sets. And then finally, to the end there, we have a couple of snakes, and they're just hanging out there. And like with some of the other enclosures in the zoo, there's a small little information sign telling you all about these creatures. And then on the other wall, there's some even smaller spiders, and they're actually some printed tiles from Lego Harry Potter sets. And then attached to the biggest glass window, there's a scorpion enclosure and some frogs on the top. Both of these animals just fit nicely within that area and make effective use of the space. And then finally, round the back of this building, I've built in a couple of toilets, since they're essential to any zoo. And you can see both toilets are well equipped, featuring a toilet, some toilet paper on the roll, and a small sink. And it looks like in one of the toilets a minifigure has just finished and is heading out right now. So that concludes my Lego zoo, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to give the video a like and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also remember that if you'd like to make any of the custom built animals in my Lego zoo, I've added links to each of the how to build tutorials in the description below. I'd like to once again say a huge thanks to all of my subscribers, and I'll be back next time with some more Lego creations. Thanks for watching.